Hi, in this video we are going to continue from previous one and introduce how to render your scene by Arnold. Let's first open our sample file 52 render test scene. But this time we are going to introduce how to render the frame range and with some of the motion blur, the features. So that should be very useful. And the first step, we already checked the origin agent, the control our geometry, and then let's create the agent cache. Render test. If you already created this, you can skip the creating precision. You just need to enable it, and then when you place your agents, the cache can be linked automatically. And then let's render the sequence of the scenes by Arnold. To render Arnold. But before that, we needed to specify the export paths. Here, the render settings, the Arnold session, E drive ABC, AR test. You can see that we previously exported only one frame, that frame 20 here. At this time, so we're going to export a frame range. So we specify here, and then we need to specify the program files, the base font, my army bin, the Arnold 1.2 in this folder, Control C and Control V. That is it. Drive. Okay, and let's see what will happen. In the previous one, we exported things by the setup current frame, but at this time we needed to click the setup frame range, the frame sequence, scene sequence. Click this. And you can see that it will export the ASS file frame by frame, and all of the ASS file will be written into this place, E drive ABC AR test stand in here, and that is cool. And then the second thing, we need to create the stand in, and the Control A. Let's fill the path here. E drive BC AR test stand in. Any frame should be fine, and the frame is 5, or you can specify any frame here 10, because we already exported the frame sequence for this kind of thing, and 24 frames. And if you want to render the same frame range, we needed to connect the time node to this frame attribute. So we just want to select the select by name here, time 1. Usually there's a default time node inside of your scene here, and let's connect this node to the stand-in node. Shift select this guy, and the connection editor here, load left, and select the stand-in, load right, and you can alt times to the frame number. Where is it? There's a lot of the attributes here. Select this guy and load again. Maybe you need to select this and click this select, because we needed to select the Arnold stand-in shape. That attribute is actually on the shape node. Where is it? Okay, here, frame number. So the alt times to connect against the frame number here. At this time, when you drag the time slider, you can see that the bounding box is updating, and at this time you need to deplace your agents. You can see that everything is cool, and you needed to hide the Miami contents, Control H, and that is cool. That is all we need. And then we create the light, directional light. scale this up for more easier of the observatory and create a plan for cast the shadow like this. That is cool. Any frames should be fine. First, let's render it. Arnold. So let's increase the light intensity a little bit to 3 and render any frame again, 16 for example. To render that again. So that is cool. And the next thing we're going to introduce is the motion blur. The motion blurs need to be applied before you exported everything. So we need to shift H for unhiding all of them and place all of your agents. And we need to export it in the entire thing again with the motion blur enabled. The motion blur can be enabled here. Enable deformation motion blur, and the lens should be 1. Let's just export scene sequence. At this time, the information, the render information will be contain the motion blur data. Okay, we don't need to update this because the directory is no change, so we just needed to render that again for testing and see whether we contain the motion blur. So that is cool. We have the motion blur enabled. And at this time, you can submit this file to your render farm or use this for batch render because everything is set up okay. Let's deplace our agents and try our batch mode render. Before you render, you need to set up some of the render parameters. You need to change the render and select the render you want to choose, and it should be the Arnold because we're talking about the Arnold, and change that to the frame range and set up the frame range to 1 to 24 and making sure the options is correct. And also we needed to change the format from EXR to JPEG because I cannot open that I cannot open the EXR on this machine. How about Maya? Let's use the JPEG. Okay, and that is cool. Let's go to the render session and render the batch render. And we can open the script editor and watch the progress of the rendering. So it needs some time. Okay, you can see that in the render begin. And in your render setting, you can see that the image go to the E drive, my army sample. E drive, my army sample images. And this is JPEG. The frame 3. Okay, the first frame. Oh, that is cool. Our Arnold render. In the second frame, it contains the motion blur. And the motion blur is relatively strong. You can decrease the length a little bit in the next time. JPEG and open the animation. Okay, and drag the mouse button here. You can see that everything is fine. So you can see that there's the middle agent. This is the origin agent. You need to hide this before you render, before you submit to the render farm. Everything is okay. Okay, this is our introduction for the the Arnold DSO rendered the motion blur and the sequence. Thank you for watching. See you next time.